going down, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Give me a second. I need to. Okay. Alrighty. So I think I'm okay. Not sure. Hold on. God damn. Don't y'all hate it when you have. Hold on. Can you hear me? I think you guys can. I think you guys are fine. So this is not going to be like a Jim Jones type of situation. Look at the hats. I got it from Target. Apparently, I think this is Reese Witherspoon's book club hat. And I'm guessing it's red, green for St. Patrick's Day, which is the day that people get out and go get skunk drunk. Who doesn't? I don't understand why people do that. Drink, I mean, I get it. I'm not really a drinker myself. That's just me, though. But to get out there and just get skunk drunk, and y'all know what skunk drunk is. Skunk drunk is when, boy, you just out there with it. Like if you were employed, you wouldn't be tomorrow. You know? And if you would be, I think your coworkers will look at you funny. They might be looking at you funny now. I don't know. And so anyway, today is Crash Out Thought Day. Let me put this up. That's what it is today, man. Today is Crash Out Thought Day. What does that mean? That means we're not going to crash out physically. We're going to do it mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's what Crash Out Thought Day is. But don't get too crazy out there. Don't get too crazy.
What's going on, man?
Oh, hold on. Give me a second. I need to all right, go ahead and say something.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yep, just fine.
All right.
You know what, man? I have to say I'm gonna say it again because I know I've told you before off air. I appreciate the fact that you have helped me enough with my technological difficulties where I can just do this stuff on my own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna give you a lot of that credit. Now here's the thing, I'm not saying I give you all of it, but I give you enough of it because I didn't know what I was doing. And now, just like what happened just now, right?
Right.
I can only hear you through my Apple computer, right?
Right.
Hell, so I'm like, oh, okay, what do I need to do? Simple. I need to just go into my settings, go into my audio, look to see exactly where I can hear you from, and switch to that. So again, I'm just saying I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I'm just, for people who wonder, like, what does Brian do? That's kind of what it is. You know what I'm saying? Brian's that guy that kind of makes sure that if this is something that you want to do, he arms you with the tools, techniques, strategies, guides, and the know-how to help you get to where you're trying to get to.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah,
I want to
it's
teach people how to get on here and start recording themselves.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. What do you think about the hat?
I like it. I like that hat. That's dope. Where'd you get it from?
Tarjay.
All right.
This is apparently what's her name? Reese Witherspoon.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it. Anya and I saw it yesterday. We were both like, "Ew, hold on,"
Yeah.
and we have to get it.
Most one of them
And
must cop kind of things. You got to cop
must
this.
must cop. And then we actually walked out of Tarjay wearing our hats. Reese Witherspoon edition. Just throwing it out there.
All right. All right.
So I know you know what? I usually don't wear hats, but
If the hat fits.
what's the old saying? When in Rome,
Right. If the shoe fits or the hat fits, you wear it.
you wear it, man. And I'm gonna wear the bejesus out of this book club hats. So anyway, man, how's everything been, sir?
It's been got some stuff we're sorting through and things like that. Got some things off air to talk to you about,
Excuse me.
but overall it's been chugging along. How about you?
Good. So I just want to say for anybody watching, just tuning in, if you see me yawning, which I am gonna try not to, I I was up until about 4 o'clock this morning doing a paper.
Oh, okay.
And when I tell you that I am tired, I am tired. And I'm still not done with the paper yet.
What's your paper
I
on?
the paper is on uh so here's the thing. There was two different things. So the first paper was actually going to be about um the link between violent video games and the aggression of teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was doing this, it occurred to me that that's actually kind of not fair to blame all of the United States violence on video games. Like, oh, dude. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Give me a second.
Okay.
I just had an amazing idea. Um, hold on to. Hold on one sec. It didn't just become overnight, and it's been that way. Hold on one sec. Since its inception. Oh, dude, I gotta write that. So I'm sorry, dude. I was looking for something to kind of tie in everything. So, but the paper is based on um, violent video games, cause or cultural reflection.
Okay.
And like I said, at first, the paper was going to be just on the violence of video games and the the aggression of teenagers. But then, like I said, I thought about that. I'm like, that doesn't really. That's not fair to throw everything on video games because in the beginning of the world, the Bible says that when there was four people here, one killed one of the other ones.
Right.
So what type of bedtime stories was Adam and Eve Sandy Kane, right?
Right.
So again, so this violent thing that we have in this culture in general has been this way since, again, like I said, since the inception of life in general. And then if you really want to go into the culture of violence in America, it's been like that since America was it's been violent since America was America.
Yeah, it's been steeped in violence.
It's been steeped in violence. So this is just one more ploy to blame something else on someone else because we refuse to take any accountability for fucking anything.
Right.
And when you do that, of course, it's going to be a lot easier to blame everything and everyone for all of your cultural wars and woes and all that. But at the same time, though, for those of us who actually do like to read, or at least listen every so often,
Mm-hmm.
this country's been like that. So blaming video games, like really? Nah, I can show you pictures. I got a book. I think it was called. Hold on.
Well,
I think it's that. Hold on, there it is. No, I think it might be downstairs actually, and it was called like On Lynching or something like that, where there was black people being strung up from light poles, bridges, trees, all buildings, all kinds of stuff on a pile of ashes burned up or whatever. And you know who was there? Children,
right.
women, teenagers, men, women. So at what time has America not been violent?
Well, and to kind of piggyback off that, I mean, we're at a historic low when it comes to violent crime. Historically, like
Correct.
over decades, like we had a little bit of a peak in 2021, but even now, since 2021, we're down. Like crime, historically, violent crime is at a pretty much a low since we started tracking the data. Um, Specifically, like you look at the time frame they normally give is like from 1969. We're at an all-time low in terms of violent crime. Murders are down and all kinds of other stuff. And so
You can you go ahead.
to attribute video games, which violent video games really started coming around in the 16-bit era, where it was considered more violent, even though they were talking about, video games where you're shooting people and stuff. But 16-bit era was like Mortal Kombat and all those other ones. And then yeah, Doom and Wolfenstein 3D and all the other stuff. Even then, where in the 90s they were going for maximum over the top violence in video games because controversy sold. Historically, crime was still violent crime, specifically like homicides, it was still kind of trending downward. It's the idea, like, we're not seeing more violent, we're not experiencing more violent crime, we're seeing more violent crime because of the way the news cycle set up, where every single day, as we start getting more and more connected on the internet, now you got access to violent acts instantaneously straight to your phone. And because you have that, it makes it feel like, oh, well, this is running out of control. But violent crime is down. And to attribute it to video games is kind of like, well, I mean, we're saying teenage crime, and one thing that about teenagers is their brains are still developing, and so they're still learning how to emotionally regulate themselves. And so they feel intense emotions, and they may not have the framework to navigate those super intense emotions. And that's why you'll see a kid shoot another kid or whatnot, because they don't really have the framework. Some of them that's always kind of what their baseline is going to be.
Yes.
But most of them, as they grow older and start growing into their brain, you get more control over those impulses. And so there's different layers to this. I think a lot of times when people point to one thing or the other as the problem, it overlooks so many other factors to the point where it's almost lying, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm following what you're saying.
No, so actually, one of the things that I was doing was I wanted to look up. Hold on one sec. Uh, prisons suing. Sorry, suing. Um, so I want to see if this is even real because I know people be lying about stuff.
Mhm.
So okay, so this happened actually about a year ago. Um, so and to kind of piggyback right off of what uh Brian here just said, um, so one of the things that one story that I heard, and I wanted to actually kind of see if this is real or not. But I'm actually looking at it right now, and it's through Medium News. Again,
Mhm.
I just like to get into the habit of citing everything I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Um, and the here I'm going to put this out so you guys at home can see what I'm seeing as well. Damn, how do I do this again? Okay, share screen. Okay, here we
Yep.
go. How private prisons sued the state of Arizona for not having enough prisoners. And this was actually a couple years ago or whatever. So we don't care if people aren't breaking the law. Fill up our prisons with inmates or we'll sue you, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And again, whatever. I honestly don't know if this thing is so looking at it again, I'm looking at it right along with you guys. Um, first and foremost, I don't understand why the state of Arizona would guarantee anything like that against its own people. Right? I remember I was reading a story about years ago. I think it's probably in the 60s or 70s or something like that. These two sheriffs or whatever, they were they had a contest to see how long their jails could stay empty for.
Mhm.
Now that's like it's literally a business. And our business, like I had told Jessica yesterday, is it's sick when you profit off of somebody else's grief,
Right.
right? And that's crazy because prisoners, for the most part, cannot make money off of their own crimes.
Right.
But yet instead somebody else can make money off of you being in jail.
Well, and it kind of destroys the entire myth of the rehabilitative model, right? Like when you add a
Yes,
profit, when you add a profit motive to
it's
it,
over. It's over.
right? You're
It's
basic
over.
you're basically saying we're incentivized to make sure that these people recidivate and recommit crimes and get, and struggle when they get outside. Like we're because we get funding, like we have a per diem. Like for those that don't know how residential facilities work, um when I was running my shelter, we used to get a per diem to keep a bed open, and so we would have a certain amount of money that you would get just to keep a bed open in case we needed to place a kid there emergency wise or whatnot. So, but more times than not, when the shelter was at capacity is when we actually were profitable, even though it was a nonprofit. In order to be able to, balance our books, we had to have all our beds filled. Well, you
Mhm.
take that and scale it up to a private prison, and a lot of private prisons are owned by private equity, and private equity is the reason why Southwest Airlines decided that they ain't gonna clean the seats between flights and squeeze an a couple extra rows of seats so that nobody has any leg room. Private equity doesn't care about you or your comfort as a paying customer. Now, take that and make yourself a prisoner of a private equity company. And they don't care about your food. They don't care about whether you get medication. They don't care about your sleeping arrangement. And the last thing, the thing that breaks their business model is if you actually get reformed on the inside. So we added this profit motive to it. And so now you have these entire institutions where their job is to create prisoners that are perpetual customers of their service.
Correct.
And that's kind of what it is. But then you also got to look at the fact that our incarceration rates are pretty much are down when you look at some of the trend lines. And so some of these places have actually pivoted into immigration detention centers.
Immigration, yep.
And that's their new profit center.
Yes.
And so if they didn't care about U.S. prisoners, they don't care about prisoners in the U.S. What do you think? How do you think the standard of living is for immigrants who are the villains of the current chapter of America? And so there's so many different layers to this entire thing. There is a bit, like you said, there's a business to jailing people. There's a whole industry around it. People are employed behind it, and there's a darkness to that to me. There's a real darkness to prisons. Now we have corporations running prisons. That's a real dark thing that I don't understand. Well, I understand why it happened, but I don't know, man.
Those two things should. That's one of those things that should never happen.
Right.
To have a business run a prison.
Right.
Like if people don't understand the juxtaposition or the oxymoron of that is crazy. Especially being that majority of the people are not in there for violent crimes.
There it is.
Yeah, if that makes any sense, guys. They're not in there for violent crimes. However, so, and again, if you were to get rid of everybody who was not there for violent crimes, prisons wouldn't be as big as they are.
Oh, no.
By no means. By no means. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have people that are violent in general. I'm not saying that we don't. What I'm saying is that the people that are there, most of them are not there for violent crimes.
Well, and if locking people up was the answer, the United States would be crime free because we lock up just about more people than just about anybody else on the planet.
Which is crazy because we lock up more people than China.
And they got billions.
And China has over 1 billion people. Over 1 billion. And we lock up, and that's fucking sad that we're okay with that.
Right.
That's sad that this is even a thing here. In Singapore, or whatever, you mess up there, they take that stick out and beat your ass with it. You know what I'm saying? They not playing. Yank them skivvies down. 20, you know what I'm saying? 12 lashes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Bend over. You about to get all this. And they gonna beat your ass. And then when you're done, you're done.
Right.
But guess what? Ain't nobody out there. And I'm not saying that crimes don't get committed in Singapore. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, mess up if you want to.
Well, and I think it's how we view, because here's the thing, and I know that there's when we have, and I've seen and I've listened to a lot of people that are anti incarceration, like seriously anti, like we shouldn't have prisons for anything kind of thing, and we should have rehab centers and things along those lines. And I understand parts of their argument. Here's what I'll say. We use prison as a way to prevent, like we use this as a band-aid for everything. Like gunshot, prison, or gunshot band-aid. You know, burned, you got set on fire by something. Here's a band-aid for it. It's this band-aid that we just affix. We just slap down whenever we have a problem that we can't solve. You know, in specifically in the state of Nebraska, the youth justice model is supposed to be a real rehabilitative one. And I can tell you that the sheriff has been fighting tooth and nail to shift that into a carceral kind of thing, where you know, because when you get in trouble here, you don't get sentenced to the Sarpy County JCC. You don't get sentenced to DCYC, Douglas County Youth Center. You are placed there until they can find appropriate placement for you that meets whatever your treatment needs are. And it's however long you need to be there until they can find appropriate placement. They want to shift it more to a youth commission based model where you get sentenced to a certain amount of time.
Oh man, it's so mandatory.
Yeah, where it mirrors more of the adult
Right.
model of criminal of crime, and I think we fall too in love with that.
Even while the child's mind still isn't even done growing.
It's not fully formed yet.
It's not even fully formed. That's crazy.
But we love. Here's the thing: in this country, we love. Like, there's this weird obsession and love with everything regarding incarceration and police and everything. And we have entire blocks of shows that are dedicated to law enforcement and stuff like that. And it's romanticized when they lock somebody up, when they finally catch the guy and put him in jail. It's romanticized. The thing that they don't show as much is overzealous people chasing the high of locking people up without, law enforcement chasing that high of locking people up without making sure that they're catching the right person. Right. And the idea that we'll get them sooner or later, but then this person's life is destroyed by just 2 days in jail for a crime that they weren't really connected to. Their life is ruined, like completely ruined by that 2 days. And I think we fall into this trap where we see that as the solution every single time, and everything is a jail sentence. Why is that guy assaulted? Put him in jail. Well, what are we doing in jail? He's just in jail. So we're not providing like any kind of therapy. He's going to get out. We can't hold him here forever. What are we going to do in the interim while he's here? Well, I mean, that's on him. But so what? You hold him and you pour nothing into him, and then you release him, and then he does the same thing, except the only difference is it's later as opposed to let's figure out what we can do here so that when he gets out, he has better tools to address whatever the issue that brought him here was. It's this quick fix button. Locking people up is a quick fix button in this country. And that's how we look at it. And we don't look at it like, oh, they just need to be out of society or whatnot. That's what we reduce it to, instead of what happens while they're away. It's out of sight, out of mind. We're warehousing people. So that's far. We're far afield.
No, we're not. We're still on it. Same thing. So I'm sitting there looking at. I'm gonna have to save this. This is crazy. I think I just found my next thing I'm gonna talk about.
Okay.
My next paper. Because again, I have to draw inspiration from different things or whatever. And this right here is a really good article.
And here's the thing, Fearless, we'll talk about this too. I know a lot of the really hardcores about crime and policing and law enforcement, the thing they always lean into is, well, when you've experienced crime, you'll have a different listen. You talking to two guys that grew up during the crack era and the 90s and gangs and drugs and all the other stuff. We've seen some street crime. We've experienced street crime. We've experienced it on levels that a lot of people who use that argument have not, you know. And this idea that, well, once you see it, then you're just all about locking people up and everything. Well, I mean, no, you're not, because I've also seen the other side of what happens when you just whisk somebody away from society and throw them in a cage for years and provide them nothing to be better with.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen what that world looks like, and I've seen the effects that has on people. Um, there's a reason why we limit. There are certain, like a mission to Mars is probably about the extent of what we're going to see in terms of space travel, because extended periods of time alone in isolation, even with a couple of people, it does damage to the brain, does damage to the mind. Now you take that and say, okay, so this guy is in jail and he spends most of the time in solitary. What are you making when he comes out? Because he's going to get out eventually. He or she that man or woman is eventually going to get out. That kid is eventually going to get out. What are you releasing back into society?
Yeah.
So
Right.
there's so many different frameworks of this, and the weird, it's almost like this weird quasi religious, you're doing a sacrament kind of thing. You have to you've transgressed, and now it's a purification ritual, purification rite, the punishment. You know, there's a lot that goes into the way that we view crime and punishment, and none of it ever really ties to what the root cause is, because the root cause is typically an economic driver.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You provide jobs and resources in neighborhoods that have higher crime rates, and you see the high crime rates start declining when you provide opportunity to people. Still there. There's never going to be a time where there's not an element, even in countries that have low murder rates. There's still an element, a criminal element or whatnot. There's never going to be a time where that completely disappears off the map. But if you're talking harm reduction, that's the route, providing economic opportunities to people. But we don't want to talk about that.
Right. No.
It looks too much like giving money to poor people, and we don't like that in this country.
Right.
We like to give money to rich people. Oh, that was
of course.
That was a spicy take. Was that kind of a spicy take? Like we really
I don't think so.
We
I don't
fetishize
think so.
we fetishize giving money to people that don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what we do, though. Hold on.
Shoot, I remember my mom's favorite show, and she was activist back in the day, super active during the 60s and 70s, involved with the Black Panthers and a lot of Black nationalist groups and things like that, and had all the literature in the house and everything. That's why I grew up reading. My grandma was a curator at the Black History Museum, like a lot of other stuff that was going on. My mom's favorite show was Law and Order. That was her turn on and that was the background noise, the show that she would just turn on, and it would just be on A&E on a loop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Law and Order. Even she got caught up in some of that, lock them up kind of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, your mom did too.
Well, she did, but like I said, she came from this activist revolutionary, like that's what she did before I was right before she adopted me. She was heavily involved in a lot of this stuff, and her work was strictly as a health advocate in the Black community, and working with the same populations of people that had been kind of tossed away by society. That was her mission was, and that was her drive. But like I said, in her downtime, her favorite show was Law and Order, and she never connected the two things. Like there's a disconnect.
Like what do you mean?
So Law and Order, the view of the criminal justice system in Law and Order is the cops are the good guys, the criminals are the bad guys, and it's just this line,
this black and white
dichotomy.
Yeah, like you know exactly who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. Yeah, I
Right.
got you.
And for her, like it never like, and she was, pro black where she wouldn't watch certain shows. She didn't let me watch certain shows. She'd be like, that's propaganda, that's imperialist propaganda and stuff. But then her favorite show was Law and Order in the
Right, but
background.
she didn't correlate the hypocrisy in what she was already doing.
She didn't correlate what she watched with
Right.
what she was at, the activist work that she was doing. She didn't correlate that to what she watched in her downtime. And to be honest with you, I almost felt like it was her comfort show. She just put it on the background.
That
But
makes sense though. I do the same thing though, man. I there's certain music, for instance, that I still listen to. Like I'm a philosopher and an avid book reader. I read everything, but my favorite music is that ratchet Brother Lynch hung
yeah.
type. Uh, I still listen to the Blood and Cryptate.
Hmm.
I still, I still listen to the stuff that I listened to in my adolescent years, the dumb shit
Hmm.
that we were doing or whatever. It's not on me; it's in me. You know, the only difference is I don't listen to it with my kids around me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm by myself, or me and Vince are
Hmm.
like doing our thing or whatever, man, I'll turn the music up and just ride, listening to the craziest '90s music you can think of, yo. So no, I totally get that. I think the difference is that I understand the hypocrisy,
Hmm.
right? I get it within myself, but I think it's different for others who maybe don't put those two things together.
Yeah. Uh, it might be a function of age too, man. This is something I've talked about, and I think we talked about it off air too.
What do you
But
mean?
it might be a function of how we grew up, like the era that we grew up in. Okay, that exennial Generation X slash millennial era. That 76 to 1984, 85. People were born in that frame.
Telling
We
you, dude.
we had a dual. We It was this weird dichotomy of we grew up with an analog childhood and a digital teenage years and adulthood.
Yeah, yeah,
And so for
yeah.
us, it's nothing like for me, it's nothing to, like you said, somebody accepted me. This is new gospel rapper. Please get that away from me. I'm not listening to that, bro. I don't
I'm
want to
good.
hear
I'm good on
I
that.
don't want to hear that.
I don't care how good you are.
I
I don't
don't
want to
want to
hear
hear
it.
it.
Don't want
Um
to hear it.
and I do, I am my most deaf. I listen to Tyler Quali and stuff like that, but a lot of stuff is like Slaughterhouse, MOP, um, Griselda, like, drug rhymes. One of my favorite rappers is Pusha T, like that kind of stuff. The Clips album is still in rotation.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And so I listen to all of that stuff, but for me, there's like, yeah, that's just music. Like that's just stuff that happens. And some of them might have actually done it. I don't care. It's just music. And it makes me want to go earn money. And that's what it is. Drug raps make me want to go earn money. And that's how I perceive it. But when you don't have that disconnect, we talked about it where for these kids coming up, the internet is real. Like internet is real life. Internet interactions that you have, internet interactions, yep, internet interactions is real life. Like um the communities and the people you talk to and all the other stuff, that is real. That is almost as real as actually going and hanging out and meeting somebody or people that you know in real life. For me, when I look at my kids, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just on the internet. Internet ain't real, like kind of thing. But for them, the interactions that they have digitally with their friends, in Discord servers and things like that, they're super real. There have been plenty of times where my daughter will sit there and tell me about what the latest drama is in her Discord group and how frustrated everybody is with this one person who won't take accountability and blah blah blah. And I'm just sitting there like, that's the internet. Internet's not real. And I don't say that to her, but in my mind, that's how I frame it. And I've actually had conversations with her. I'm like, I wish you could have grown up before all this digital stuff, where you can compartmentalize things that happen online, things that happen in the real world. Because I also have that compartmentalization between shit that entertains me and shit that I listen to and how I am in real life. And I think those things nowadays are super enmeshed, right? Like a lot of these streamers getting jammed up for perpetrating a life, for living a life that doesn't really align with who they really are, but they've created this image, and so they feel like they are destined to fulfill it, and they end up acting a fool or acting ratchet or doing something embarrassing online just to maintain the image. For me, that is such a bizarre concept, way to live. Like, I'm not doing that for the internet. Are you serious? Like, but for them, it ends up that persona ends up becoming who they really are, and it's it's kind of a sad thing to see. I wish that a lot of people behind who were born after me and Fearless had that childhood where you didn't necessarily have this entire all your social interactions are digital. Um, I wish y'all had that. I wish y'all could experience that as opposed to this life you're living now where the biggest entertainment guys out there, biggest entertainment guys or girls out there are streamers, and some of them get their real life so caught up in the stream life that they do stupid shit out in the real world and have real life consequences for it because they can't disconnect the two things. For me, I'm just like, that's the internet. I ain't doing that. That's the internet, bro. Like, that's not real. I'm not doing that in real life to mess up my life in real, like, mess up. And I think that's the disconnect. So like I said, I can listen to, Benny the Butcher talk about selling drugs all over Buffalo, New York. That's that's on the record, man. Like, I'm not doing that in real. I'm not motivated to do that. All that makes me want to do is go out and like, all right, so let me go ahead and launch this. Let me go ahead and launch this new platform. Let me go launch this new digital course. Let's get this money. That's
Right.
that's the mind frame it puts me in. But for some of the kids, they'd be like, I saw this little girl. She's listening to the Clips album, the streamer. She was reacting to it, and she was sitting there listening to one song, and she's like, do I want to sell? Do I want to sell drugs? Do I want to sell drugs? Like, she was actually going through, like, experiencing what they were saying to the point where she's actually questioning, like, do I want to do that? And then she's like, no, I don't want to do that. But for me, I'm like, that's just music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and again, it's just like going to see a movie.
Right.
It's literally the same exact thing, and it's so crazy because again, we live in a society that cherry picks. You know what's what societal norm is okay
Mm-hmm.
and which one is not. Music, for some reason, has this stigma to it, but the good, the bad, and the ugly isn't just as bad as 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 the clips talking about what they do.
Yeah.
You trying to tell me that the movie Blow, which is based on a real story, and the clips talking about what they've seen in real life,
Mm-hmm.
you trying to tell me that one's different than the other?
No, it's
I
not.
mean, I I mean, at least with to me, at least in music, you create your own scenario based on what they said. In a movie, they show you exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, the fuck do you think a movie's gonna be?
Right.
Because I can keep rewinding that movie. I want you to think about it like this: if you were watching porn, right? That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you were listening to porn, that would be something totally different.
And
You
I
see what
also
I'm saying?
I see what you're
There's a
saying.
difference listening to it and watching it. Could you imagine somebody driving down the street with 215s in the trunk, bumping porn,
Well, that,
bumping, bumping, don't. I mean, with people moaning and cheeks getting pounded, you would be like, "What? What are you listening to?" Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I saw a dude, I promise you.
Uh,
This was years ago. He was in I was in Bankhead and we were at Jim's Rib Haven. And this dude had TV monitors all inside, and this was at night. He had TV monitors all inside of his car where you can see from the outside into what they were looking at. Bro was watching porn.
oh, you need to lock him up. Now, okay, so I'm about to break my rule. I've been
I'm
talking
just
about
saying.
incarceration and everything. They
And
need to that man is dangerous. They need to lock him up. That's
I was like,
that is a detrimental level of down bad, like where it's destroying your life and risking you going to jail for indecent exposure. Because for those that don't know, showing that to children is illegal. And if they say a kid could have seen it, you could actually be on the registry for that. And it's like, bro, got to go to jail. Like, we got to at least detain him for a little bit and sit down and talk to him and say, you need to not do that. Like, whatever you do in your house is cool. Whatever you do in your house is cool. But when if a child can look in and see that on your screen, if their car's driving by and they don't have the ability not to look away, and you're kind of forcing it into their face because it's just on your screen, they sitting behind you in the park in traffic. That man dangerous, bro.
okay, so what's the difference? So basically, a a piece of cloth is the difference between moral and immoral.
No, it's not moral or immoral. It's showing that material to potentially exposing a kid to that material without like it's different if, like, you're sitting in your car, right? You're sitting in your car behind him, right? You're looking at the stoplight, but in your field of view, and in your kid sitting next to you, and in their field of view, that's on the screen.
Right.
That person is just exposed your kid to that against your will, against the kid's will, is illegal. And so it's like somebody just got, because I remember I probably know this cat that I know what you're talking about, because I've probably experienced him back in the days driving around North Omaha too. And it's like when we were in the club scene, and it's like, yo, bro, relax. Relax. All right, we get it. Like I said, it's one of those things where, and I did child abuse neglect stuff, and that was a way to open a case.
Right.
A kid reported such and such showed me this sexual material. That's a case that gets opened. That's what I'm saying. Like, from a functional standpoint, legally, that's a way to get jammed up for something that is completely impulse driven. And most people don't think about it, right? Like, they don't think about it. But all the cop has to do is say, yeah, a van load of kids happen to be sitting behind you at the stoplight. You just exposed a van load of kids to pornographic material.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going to cite you for that. And you're going to have to go see the judge for that. And that's a dumb way to end up on the registry, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I get where you're going with it. And I think for us, like all right, so let's look at it like this. Remember when Training Day dropped and how everybody was kind of mind blown by how Training Day went, because it actually flipped the narrative of what you think a police officer is supposed to be up to and what they were actually up to. And it was really based, like, that character that Denzel played was based loosely on the guy who was part of the Ramparts in LA, that Rampart unit in LA.
Yeah, no, they weren't playing.
And it flipped the narrative, and it was so shocking to so many people. When you first see it, you think, oh, he's just like a Dirty Harry kind of cop that breaks the rules, but is working is trying to catch the bad guys. And it flips into, no, he is the real threat. Like, he is the actual, he is the threat in the community. He is the threat to everybody in the communities that he's in. He is the villain of this. And to the point where some people I've watched people react to that movie to the instant where he betrays Jake in that movie. They're still like, no, there has to be some misunderstanding. Like, this is because that's the narrative that we created with law enforcement, not understanding that there are going to be people that in any group of people, there's going to be people that follow the rules. And then there's going to be people that don't follow the rules. And there's going to be some people that say, I am the rule and I can change or alter it. Any group of people, you're going to find that. And some people were never used to seeing on the big screen in a regular procedural police drama, the police being framed like that. You know what I'm saying? And then you get The Wire coming out where you show, yes, police can be incompetent and brutal and stuff, and the gang members and the drug dealers can be smart and actually have noble goals. Flip the narrative. So anyway.
I mean, one of the parts that in season, what was it?
Where were they?
3, when Omar finally got rid of homeboy, when Omar brother Mazone killed Stringer, and McNulty said one question that really summed it up. He said, "Who was I chasing?" Because the idea that you had of this drug dealer was not, because remember, they finally got keys to go into his house. And they walked in and they were like, he lives here? And it was such a blow to them because he's looking around and he sees all these books everywhere. He sees that the guy that he was chasing was not like anybody else. He wasn't some type dude on the street. This man was extremely articulate.
Right.
With everything that he did.
His goal was to be a businessman for real.
For real. And then when he was following him, he followed him to college. And then he's learning about business, how to do this. How do you turn this into an inferior? I have an inferior product, so what do I do with it? Oh, do what such and such did. Change the name. Everything else is going to stay the same. We just going to change the name of it. And then we'll just keep, once they get tired of that, oh, don't trip. We got this new product. And it was, The Wire is my favorite show. There's other ones that I love, but like that one.
Well, String was my favorite character, but in hindsight, you knew String wasn't going to make it because he was trying, and Avon kind of mentioned it, like you try to be both, man. You can't do both. But yeah, the entire, you taking notes of the criminal conspiracy,
right?
And so when McNulty did have that, like, who have I been chasing? It's like, because he is kind of the audience before they started watching the show.
Yeah.
Wait, like, hold on.
Because you never seen really anything personal with Stringer. Yeah. You don't know what he's up to. You don't know where he lays his head. Nobody did. That's like the equivalent of, I remember that years ago, I was being investigated. And like in real life, I was being investigated. And the investigator had asked a buddy of mine, does Fearless have nice furniture and stuff like that? Just asking like little questions like that. He's like, actually, yeah, he does. So how did he get that? So his mom died and she gave him everything. And the investigator was like, how do you know that? And he's like, well, because I went to Colorado with him to go get everything, and we brought everything back. So that's how I know what he has, because I was there when we picked it up. And it's so crazy because with all that money spent investigating me. Nothing came of it. And I was telling them, I'm like, dude, I'm one of the most boringest people you will ever meet. If it's not about video games, I'm reading a book
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, right? And everybody that they talked to said the same thing verbatim. What does he do? What does he do with this? Oh, he's usually at a bookstore. Or he's usually going to buy books or playing video games. Oh no, he's usually at home hanging out reading. Anytime we go over there, he's reading a book or something like that. And this is before Audi. This is before Audible.
Mm-hmm.
This is before, for me, books on tape. I got into the audio and all that stuff later. I was I would sit down and just knock a book out.
Right.
Most of the time, I would read 3 or 4 books around the same at the same time because my mind was just kind of going like that. Now, I read one and move to the next. Read one, move to the next. So I don't have to read all these different books. Now, in being in school, you got to do a lot of that. But um, yeah, now I'm good. But yeah, that's my point is that this idea of we think people are what we think they are based on the experience that we either have or we have conjured up.
Right. Well, and I go like, this is the thing I'm kind of working on here. And so a lot of times we end up thinking that when we talk about specifically like, drug lords or major criminal figures or whatnot, we thinking that we dealing with, like the Tony Montana kind of like we see the drug kingpin or the head of a crime syndicate as kind of the Tony Montana archetype, right? Like this guy, him, this dude. Get rid of that, get rid of that. All right.
Mm,
We see him as that. Reality, the reality of it is he's more this guy. This
who is
is
that? You
Jack
know,
Welsh.
you
Jack
know who
Welsh.
he, you know who he looks like?
Who?
He looks like the dude on Hannibal.
Yeah.
The
You're
Silence of the Lamb.
Hannibal
So,
Lecter.
so oh yeah, on Hannibal, when he had that dude Gary
Oh
Oldman's
yeah.
character cut his face off. That's what he looks like.
And that's Jack Welch, and that was the former CEO of GM. He is the guy that, and I've talked about him on this before. He is the guy singularly responsible for a lot of what we consider corporate culture and CEO style culture in the United States, and the idea of the company that is shareholder driven as opposed to employee driven. Like he was the one that changed how GE operated because GE kind of saw themselves initially before he took over leadership, they saw themselves as kind of this uh, corporate kind of welfare thing, and not in the same sense that corporate welfare, getting money from the government and just giving it to themselves. It was our job in for our employees is to uplift their entire community and provide them stable jobs and opportunities to progress and a standard of living after they retire and stuff. And he came in and said, hell with all that, get rid of all that. But when you're talking about the two, this guy is more endemic of, you know, the by any means drug dealer than a Tony Montana kind of guy, where, you know, his brutality, Tony Montana wore his brutality in the movie. Tony Montana wore his brutality on his sleeve, right? Like he was this angry, super violent, hyper violent guy who had an impulse control problem and a drug issue, right? More times than not, the real villain of the story is typically that guy that presents as that looks like he could sit in any boardroom in America and thrive. And so, you talk about the person that was responsible for more crime and destitution and a lot of other really negative things, other sides of corporate culture. Jack Welch drove a lot of that, bro. Like investor capitalism is his baby. The stock buyback is his baby. That's what he created. The idea of the stock buyback, where a company buys back all of its stocks to inflate the price and cook the books.
Got you.
He created that. He set the stage for a lot of the economic collapses that we've endured in this country over the decades, and the crime spikes that happen when the economy's down, and the lack of opportunity and stuff. The you know who's the president talking, in Iran Contra and all this other stuff. What who had the presidency ear? The drug dealers or the CEOs? Who had Reagan's ear? Drug dealers, CEOs. Like,
Right.
those are the guys that are typically the face of that. But since they are in positions that are considered respectable in polite society, nobody ever challenges what they do, and nobody ever questions their motives about hurting people. You know, like, somebody had to, like, one of these shipping magnates or shipping guys had to be part of the cocaine flooding the eastern seaboard, and that jump started
Right.
the crack epidemic. It didn't just happen magically. They had to get somebody involved in the industry to do
Right.
it. Last thing, and I'm kind of expanding on the point. When we look at, like, the Epstein files, the guy, remember I told you about the guy who Jeffrey Epstein thanked for the torture tape? Remember that? I told you about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
He said thanks for the torture tape. This guy is, I think he's in the Saudi royal family, but he's the CEO of one of the largest container shipping empires on the planet.
Oh
Okay,
wow. Okay.
so let me ask you a question. If you have a human trafficking organization, you have a guy that at any given time his company is handling millions of crates of cargo, and 100 of them get displaced. 100 of them that may have had people in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but when you see his picture, he looks like a regular dude. He just looks like a regular businessman. This man was one of the people most directly responsible for one of the largest human sex trafficking enterprises on the planet.
Who is this?
I will pull him up. He is in the House of Saud. I think he's in the House of Saud, but I know that he was the head of the shipping. He's the CEO of a major shipping company. I'll pull him up. Let me see. Thanks for the torture video guy. Dubai CEO. Named the recipient. Epstein wrote, telling me he loved the torture video. Sultan. Let me see. Here's a picture of him with Epstein. I'll save that one. Post that one. I can't post it, I don't think, but I'll show it to you. Let me switch over there first, and then I'll actually put a picture of him up on the screen.
Okay.
But yeah, this is him looking it with Jeff. Does he look like a criminal mastermind? I mean, ignore this guy standing over here. Does this guy look like a criminal mastermind? Like,
Yeah. No, he does not.
The linchpin in one of the largest human trafficking operations in modern history. So he is, what's his name? Sultan Ahmed bin Salameen, former CEO of Dubai's DP World, which has a footprint in more than 80 countries over the past 3 decades. He is one of the biggest, like, he has one of the biggest shipping empires in the world. I know it was Julia Louise Dreyfus. She's not connected to this, but that's where her money, that's where her family's money is. That's why she's a billionaire, because her dad was Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
She's a billionaire because her family's money is shipping money.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah, this is the guy. And he was a sultan and he's in the royal family. But when you see pictures of him, he looks like just your regular run of the mill boilerplate businessman. But he is also a linchpin in the entire Epstein thing.
Okay.
And so when we have our ideas of who criminals are and who dangerous people really are, a lot of times that's covered by what our perception. I'm putting the video file, I'm putting the image file on screen. That's colored by our perception, our preconceived notions of who these people actually are. This is the man. He's the man that sent Jeffrey Epstein the torture video that he got thanked for.
Oh wow.
Like I said, you talk about a guy like, it's nothing for him to load up people in one of his, sign off on a thing, load up people in one of his container ships that he has thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of.
Jeez.
And that crate just gets lost in transit somewhere. It gets dropped at a port somewhere, and somebody who's on the receiving end comes and earmarks it and grabs the people out of it. So again, we overlook we end up overlooking a lot of really awful people just because they don't look to be the awful people. They're not who our mind imagines them to be. This guy is supposed to be a respectable tycoon in the shipping industry. That's why this Epstein thing went for so long, bro. Because the people that were involved didn't match our expectations of who the people that would be involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gates, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, who, these people are captains of industry. You don't expect them to be involved in those seedy stuff like that, and that's why it flew under the radar.
Right.
But it didn't, and I think it didn't necessarily fly under the radar. The people in power knew who was involved in it, and the ones that said, "Ugh, I'm gonna stay away from this," they knew what was going on. They also knew if they opened up their mouth, they would be the ones that would be having some kind of strange accident, some kind of boat accident or something. Accidental.
Shucks.
Like Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, where Jeffrey Epstein basically inherited this man's money. This dude he had a yacht accident after he tried to come back, and I guess what happened was they said he came back and tried to blackmail Israel and Mossad and saying, "Hey, you guys need to give me, was it like 600 million pounds or something to prop up his business? Otherwise, I'm gonna tell everything." And then one day he falls off of his yacht.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the reason why this happened was because people, like, I tell people all the time, like, last thing, because I'm dominating the talk right now.
No, I love it, man. I love it.
One of the largest events for human trafficking in this country, every year, annually, happens every single year, is the College World Series.
Okay, say that one more time.
Yeah. So one of the largest events that happens every single year for human trafficking is the College World Series.
Really?
Yeah. And it's the reason why people don't talk about it is because it doesn't meet the expectation of what people imagine people who participate or solicit human traffickers look like. Because they look like regular people who have money to travel and take destination vacations to a medium-sized Midwestern city to watch some baseball games. That doesn't meet the expectation of who these traffickers are, and the reason why it's such a successful endeavor for them is because they don't meet the expectation of who the traffickers are. A lot of times the traffickers, that couple up the street, that they don't have kids, but there's always kids around the house, and they look like normal people, and I think we have we lower our vigilance because this person doesn't set off our alarm bells immediately. But since I worked in human services, I worked with kids that have been abused, neglect, and stuff like that. I don't put anything past anybody.
That's all I'm saying.
Because I've walked into so many houses where it's like, whoa, this is what y'all be doing. Oh, okay. I couldn't tell. I wouldn't be able to tell from the street. And I used to warn my workers about that.
Mm.
So anyway,
No, I get it, man.
so
Oh, nice.
what else is going on, Fearless? Man, we at war, right? And we at war, right?
So honestly, dude, I don't know what you even call this. I mean, for me personally, the thing that Trump doesn't bother me. I mean, even people that vote for this man does. I get it, right? The thing that bothers me, honestly, is that we allow this shit to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what bothers me. Some man, megalomite, what is that word I'm looking for?
Megalomaniacal.
Yes, just prick. We're always going to have people like that.
Uh-huh.
But the fact that we don't do anything about this is extremely troubling.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was, and I've been saying this for a minute. Like, where's all those white militia at that was swearing up and down that if you came for us, this is what we're doing? Where's all those people that were prompted up the Second Amendment, talking about if you come for us as Americans, this is what we're gonna do? You don't hear them talking no more.
You remember I'm gonna get you sucker? Remember that movie, I'm gonna get you sucker?
Of course.
Okay. Remember where Keenan Ivory Rains goes into the black militant guy and says, "Where is the People's Army? What happened to them? You know, you were 1,000 strong, right?" And he's like, "They got government jobs."
Yes.
That's what happened to the militiamen.
They got government jobs.
They got immigration enforcement jobs. So yeah, I get it, man. Where are they? Where are they at?
Swearing up and down how much they hate cops and how much they hate the government. Well, now the government's doing whatever the fuck they want, and y'all ain't nowhere to be found.
Oh yeah, y'all getting checks.
Yeah, y'all ain't nowhere to be found.
Y'all getting benefits.
I'm like, dude, I'm good. Oh, and the guy, so one of the guys was from Bellevue, right? One of the guys who were killed during that drone strike. I have pictures of him on my computer because he and my son were in the same karate class together.
Oh wow!
So we know their whole family. Like, he graduated with my son, or whatever his name was, Noah. He was cool as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Or I see his wife over at Family Fair constantly, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Cool as shit. He's been on deployment forever. And then she was like, dude, I have no idea when he's coming back. It's still gonna be however long before he can even come back home. Now he's not coming back home.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll come back, but and I'm sitting there like, damn, dude. That man had to lose his life for what?
Right.
Like, why is he dead?
We don't even know.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we know, but we don't know the reason, the mechanism.
Y'all fucking with people that this is none of our business. Whatever happens to Israel, let God sort that shit out. Leaving people to fuck alone. If they're meant to be there, they will fucking be.
So
that's all I'm saying. Fuck it. If y'all like, well, this is where the end of days are gonna be, then cool, let that shit play out. If end of days are gonna happen, there's nothing you can do about it.
What about those of us that don't believe in like all that stuff? Why are we handcuffed? Why are we handcuffed to this, bro?
Like, yeah, I don't want to go down with you. If you're into fairy tales and all that bullshit and sky daddies and flying carpets, bitch, that's on you. I ain't got nothing to do with that. But my friend didn't have to fucking die.
Right.
Like his wife is now a widow. His son ain't gonna see his father again. For fucking what? Fuck out of here, dude.
Well, and so couple
Talk
of things.
talk about being a fucking anti-American. Fuck out of here.
One of the things that's happening right now, because we are we're starting a war, and it's basically shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, right? Or Hormuz, right? Which is the main shipping route for us to get pretty much everything that gets imported in the United States. It's like in oil and all kinds of other stuff. That's getting shut down. That's been shut down since this thing began. And that's why oil prices are jumping through the roof, because OPEC is basically the entire oil market. Like, they control it. And so the oil market is a world market. It's not just a US market. And the thing we're hearing, on one hand, they're saying, well, this ain't going to last long and blah, blah, blah. But then I'm seeing that quietly soldiers are mentioning that they're getting orders to be ready to deploy at any time for some ground stuff. And so that's something that's percolating in the background, where they're seeing an increase in people going out and getting wills made and things along those lines.
I bet the fuck they are.
And that's kind of what's happening, guys. And the weird part about all of this is we still don't quite know what this is about. Like, they never really defined why this is happening. It's just a thing that's happening. And we've already lost men, women, and I'm going to say kids, like children. We blew up the school with those little girls in it. 107, 108 little girls. We blew up their school because it looks like we were using old intelligence. And for what? What are we doing right now?
Creating terrorists.
Creating new terrorists. We already had a attempted terrorist incident in New York where those two young guys were trying to throw a bomb in front of Mondani's house. You saw that, where they ended up chasing a little dude down and tackling him. And we're seeing a ramp up in all these different facets across society of sleeper cells and all this other stuff activating. This was a really bad play. And I don't quite they still haven't really fully articulated to Americans why this is happening. Because I don't want to say why this is necessary, because I don't think a lot of the conflicts we get into are necessary. I was just listening to this young lady talk about what happened to Patrice Lumumba in the Congo.
Oh man.
And how the US CIA was essentially the ones that kidnapped him and hand delivered him to Belgium, where they made him eat the papers declaring independence for Congo. They made him physically eat them. They executed him by firing squad and dissolved him in acid. And the only piece of him that was left was a tooth that his family just got back like 2 years ago. Why are we involved in that? What was the benefit of that? How did that help? How did that help your average American citizen? It didn't. It's empire building and preservation. And so now we're still doing the same thing, bombing a sovereign nation or whatnot. And at some point, you have to disconnect from this. A lot of people get, when you start talking about military and stuff like that, there's this weird thing that a lot of people do where it's this weird disconnect where it's like, we still have to be ethical and logical in the way that we approach the world. And we can't just shut that down because we have to have a narrative bias where we're always the good guys. This is aggressive for no reason right now, y'all. And Fearless just told you it cost a friend for nothing as retaliation for something he didn't have anything to do with.
Oh.
And it wasn't his decision. It wasn't his decision. It wasn't anything that he had anything to do with. It was people above him who made these decisions. And it's crazy. That's what we're up against right now, guys. So,
Like, yeah, literally, dude. I mean, that shit sucks, man. Like, I mean, that dude is not coming back.
right,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, his, like, dude, that sucks, man.
right. And you trust the people in charge to say, this is such a heavy thing, a heavy decision that we're making. We can't do this capriciously. We can't just do it just because.
Hmm.
And that's what it feels like, because we can't get a definitive answer why we're doing all this.
Yeah.
So
But
anyway, hey Fearless, hold on 1 second, man.
go ahead.
I gotta make a run. I gotta check something real quick.
And do you? So I think that for the rest of us, though, I think, and again, I might be wrong. I mean, please let me know what you guys think about this, but I think that there's certain things that, and I've been saying this since I understood politics for the most part. I'm like, man, we have all these problems right here in America that we could be fixing right here. Why are we always concerned about what everybody else is doing if we still have our own problems right here that we can fix? And here's the thing, we can fix them, or at least are working at it, but we choose not to. And being that, and that's a choice to choose to stay on the on the wrong side of history. Like, we pride ourselves with pulling ourselves up by the bootstrap and and forging together as a country. Listen, there's nothing united about our states. Nothing. The only thing that's united between Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota is that we are all connected by the same land that we sit on. But as far as like cultural type stuff, I mean, we might have some differences here and there, but there's not a lot that we all agree upon. At least not that I've seen. All right. Which is, I mean, okay. Again, I mean, and I'm just saying, like, it's just in general, just a war, period. Like, just in general. And I think that some, I guess, like, I mean, I guess you can make the argument for why people, go to war and stuff, whatever. But for the most part, I really don't think that you can make that argument and honestly still keep a straight face. That's kind of where I'm at with it. That's crazy to walk around and think that war is good for whom. Like, put yourself in somebody else's situation. How would you feel if you're sleeping and all of a sudden you wake up and half your house is gone?
Right.
How would you feel if you take your child to school, you go to work and go do whatever, and then you get this call that the school has been bombed and your child is is has been a casualty. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and there's people going through that. There's people experiencing that. And I'm gonna tell you, man. And again, this is not what this is just what I think. I don't know. But the fastest way to turn a person into a terrorist is take away something that they love most in life and leave them with nothing. And it's those people, and I've always heard this since I was a kid, it's those people that have nothing that have no reason to live, that you should seriously, you you got to watch yourself around people like that. And if they know that you're the reason that they have no more reason in life,
Hmm.
like, uh, yeah, I mean, like for myself, like I'm cool. Like I think about Trayvon Martin a lot. It's Amir Rice, like a lot, and I think about them kids. Just I mean, Tamira, like I'm kind of I ain't gonna lie to you. Like people disagree with me on this, but I'm like, bro, like I'm. Let me stay off that one. I'll go to Tamir, who was just walking home from a friend's house and being accosted by a grown ass man
Stranger.
and a stranger at that, being fucked with. And all you're trying to do is go home. And even the police are telling you to stand down, stop. We got somebody en route. And they're like, and this man gets off. I assure you, there's no way on God's green earth that that man's noodle pack is still inside of his fucking head. Cause and I'm not going to jail. So
Right.
like that shit's out. However, we gonna hold court right on the streets. Cause I no, not doing that. If my baby ain't here, I'm cool. Like especially dying in such a violent way like that. If he got cancer or something, or something like that, I can understand. But you just doing the most, and then you're like, "Well, I was afraid of what he was going to do to me." Why are you carrying a gun? That little boy ain't got nothing like that with him. He's trying to go home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and again, maybe it's his time, but I'm just saying the fact that that man is still walking around breathing with his brains inside of his head, that's crazy to me. hey, hey, I do this with your family. I give y'all a round of applause because
Hmm.
you a way better person than me.
Right.
Way better person than me. My son is my life. That is the love of my life. You take that shit. I'm cool.
Well, and I think for me, you have a young man with Tamir specifically. We teach kids about stranger danger all the time, right? And you're talking about a young man who's still a kid getting accosted by a stranger in the dark, and he has the fight or flight response. His response was fight. If he ran away, the guy would have still chased him down,
No
and
matter
he
what.
probably would have had a similar situation.
No matter what. Oh, you mean no, you talking about no, not Samir. That
Oh,
was
Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin. Trayvon.
Trayvon, right.
Trayvon had an opportunity. Sorry, Tamir Rice was the young man in Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken.
And that was playing with that gun out in the,
Yeah.
and again, that's where I don't touch that
Hmm.
because I remember my son had a little gun. He went to go outside and go play. I'm like, no, the fuck you. No, you're not. You want to play with that? You play with that in the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, I, I'm like, unless it is a water gun that is extremely colorful, you don't go outside. My son has two swords
Uh-huh.
sitting on our stand. Both of them he got from karate or for karate, which my son is a black belt. Earn that, right?
Right.
Dude, I saw my son's trying to go outside and take them out there with him. The fuck you are? You can play with that downstairs, sir. You are not playing with that outside. Period.
Well,
I,
and
and I have to explain to him, like, son, if you go out there and you're playing with stuff like that and somebody hurts you, as your father, as your protector, I can't let that slide. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna let it slide.
right.
I can't. You know what I'm saying? So If you want to put somebody else's life in danger, go out and go do whatever you need to do.
Right.
But I'm just telling you, as your father, as your protector, this is not going to go well for that other person.
Well, and I remember, shoot, growing up, man, they used to sell what was it? They used to sell guns and whatnot, water guns and stuff that were super hyper realistic.
Yeah.
Like, and they ended up having to stop selling them because kids were getting shot with those guns.
And
And
remember the little pop that you get the little
yeah, they look like real pistols.
right, but people were they duct taped the handle and spray paint
Yeah.
the thing so it looks real, and you sitting there pap 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 pap, and I mean you got the stuff smelling like, and it smells so good. I still love the smell of that,
But they stopped selling them jokers, bro, because they were dangerous.
dude.
And it was stupid for a toy company to even be selling them jokers, right?
I mean, but here's the thing though, I get why they would. I mean, because Cowboys and Indians, man, we've been playing that since whenever. The only difference is that again, you got a hyper vigilant police who, like I told you before, that book it's a book called On Killing
Mhm.
that guy I told you about from the what is he from? West Point
Yep.
graduate that was talking about that he's like, I myself have never taken the life of another person, but I revere those who've had to make that sacrifice to have done that. I'm like, dude, you're a dick rider.
Well,
You a bitch.
it's
Matter of fact,
fake.
where's your camera? You a hoe. You are a bitch. Like I'm telling you.
It's fake energy.
Like I want to make sure that your mama know that you ain't shit. And matter of fact, your mama ain't shit either. I'll stand on that in front of anybody. And if she's a great woman, fuck her for having you. Like off top. If you have kids, y'all ain't shit either. Your wife ain't shit either. I just want to make sure that you know that I know that you know that you ain't shit.
Well, and that guy, he made an entire career off of that and
Yes.
escalating police
Yes.
interactions with people.
Yes. Making people, making the cops think and telling them that we're their enemy.
Right.
That we are their enemy. Motherfucker, we're your neighbors.
Right.
People were selling drugs before fucking police, but before we started calling y'all cops, people were selling drugs.
Right.
Like, there's three things that have been around since before the titles you give stuff. Prostitution, just saying. Assassins, right? Well, actually, I would say assassins, then prostitution. And the third one is, what is the third one? So assassins, because Cain killed Abel.
Gamblers.
What? No. So nope. So assassinations, prostitution. Fuck it, it'll come to me. That don't matter. But what was I saying? What was I even talking
about? Like the three vices that existed: drug dealers, prostitution,
and drug dealing.
Yeah,
drugs. Weed has been here before man got here. The opiate plant has been here before we were here. Coke has been here before we got here. So again, these are not anything that's man-made. This is stuff that was already here.
Right.
Period. And here's the crazy thing. Mushrooms were here before we got here. So what are you talking, man? Shut up. Oh God, dude.
Well, and I think what happens is, and it goes back to what we're talking about with the crime thing, right? There's this weird disconnect where you have these things in our minds that this is awful or this is illegal and stuff, and we ascribe, our moral judgments to what people do, and then we try to police the, well, you can't have access to this. This is dangerous, and this is bad for you, and this is going to harm you, and we use law enforcement to enforce that. Whereas instead of saying, "What's going on with you? Why are you?
Right.
Why are you? Why do you feel the need to ingest this stuff? What's going on?" Um, that's what it turns into, and it's really disheartening. Um, that's the first thing we reach for. Like that's the very first thing we reach for is
Right.
I don't know, man. Um, it's frustrating that we rather lean into how we can punish versus how we can prevent.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
How
saying?
we can punish rather than prevent. I like that.
And we want to punish people for what they do as opposed to preventing it from happening and putting it in a space where it's not necessary for this thing to happen.
Okay.
Create the pathway so that they can prevent themselves from engaging in this thing that we don't want them to engage in. So,
Oh wow. Okay. I'm just saying though, dude. Like, but I think that we tend to make things far worse than it needs to be. So I used to attribute this quote to this ethnographer
mhm,
by the name of he's an anthropologist basically by the name of Thor Heyerdahl, and he said that progress is man's ability to. He said progress is man's ability to complicate simplicity.
mhm,
I'm gonna say that again. Progress, progress is man's ability to complicate simplicity, and basically what that means is that we tend to make things way more worse than it needs to be. We
right.
tend to make things. We tend to drag things out. It's not as bad as we're making it seem, but we make things far worse than it needs to be.
We do.
And fishing is still fishing. Fishing still just requires a string and a stick. Now, you can come with all the other bells and whistles that you want. And that's that thing about complicating simplicity or whatever. Because at the same time, at the end of the day, there you are. You're just fishing. Get some string, get a stick, get a hook, or like people used to do back in the day, go get a spear and then go get your fish.
Right.
Problem solved. So again, we tend to make things way more complicated
Right.
than it needs to be. So like, yeah, I don't know. But
Well,
yeah, it's crazy.
and sometimes it just satisfies our need for things to be more complex. Because sometimes if it's that simple, it drives us crazy. Because it's like it can't be that simple, otherwise I'd have figured it
Yeah,
out.
it can't be that simple. And then it's like, no, it really is.
It, it's
It's that simple.
it's not that complex, y'all.
No.
But we have to make it complex for it to make sense. Which doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's the world we live in, right?
I wonder if things have always, you know what? Actually, no, I don't think things are always that way. I think that again, I think that the reason why we have so many issues that we have, honestly, is because of boredom.
Yeah.
Because what I was just reading about certain parts of Japan, and part of the Apache Native tribe right here, and I was just kind of looking at like in Japan, for instance, that they promote and respect the virtuousness of silence
Right.
of of especially like politicians.
Mhm.
They're not revered for their orator skills. They're revered for being quiet. But while by listening to all the facts before they say something, getting everything in, and just really sitting with the information that's being given to them before they react. Whereas our politicians here in the West, they can't wait to start talking. They do more talking than they do listening,
Right.
you know? And when I was reading this, because it was about language and silence, and it was just really crazy because they were also talking about how, because of like the Europeans coming here to the Americas, um, majority of the indigenous populations' language has died off.
Mhm.
So, and it was just kind of talking about, who do you talk to when everybody who speaks your language is dead?
Yikes.
You know what I'm saying? It's, I don't know, man. Like I said, it's
Well,
just crazy, dude.
well, I think the thing about language is we have the bias towards language, right? Like I learned teaching my workers when we had to do motivated interviewing and all that other stuff. Or was it not motivated? I forgot what it was. Not forensic interviewing. It was our process of determining what the gaps were when we were interviewing our diagnostic stuff. We're doing our diagnostic stuff before we brought the family into service,
Gotcha.
and um, we would sit down and we would practice it and kind of role play it and stuff. And I used to have to tell my staff, because we're so used to silence being awkward that we when there is a silence that we're not expecting in a conversation, we rush to fill the gap in with words.
Hmm.
And I used to, it was a lesson I had to teach my staff. Like I had to teach myself this when I first started doing case management.
Yep.
Sometimes you ask the question and then you just wait for them to respond
Hmm.
and you don't say anything else. And you wait for them to engage you and say, ask for clarity or whatever. But they were terrified. The silence made them so deeply uncomfortable that um it would like they would end up hurting themselves. They end up damaging their own interviews
Hmm.
because they felt like the silence is awkward and I must speak because this is uncomfortable for me.
Right.
And that's not what it was. It was a matter of the silence is uncomfortable and you have to just get comfortable with being uncomfortable in the moment.
You
That's
know,
the difference.
it's really it's kind of cool is that I remember oh my god, I used to love watching Shark Tank.
Hmm.
And I used to tell people, I've said this for years, I've seen more people lose out on a deal for talking too much
Hmm.
than I have seen people just keep their mouth shut and get the deal.
Right.
Now, I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say it again because I really want people to understand this. I've seen more people, and again, if y'all just watch it, more people have lost deals because they couldn't just shut up and stop talking and listen to what the sharks were saying to them. I think more people would have walked out of there with deals.
I think so too.
You know what I'm saying? But most people don't because it's like, oh, well, I want to talk about this, or I need to get this out, or I need to get that out. And one of the things that, as I was reading these uh, these uh, um, these articles, I was thinking about this guy who was talking about this emotional win, which is a psychology term. And an emotional win is where somebody wronged you, and instead of just letting it go, you got to get the last, excuse me, you got to get the last word in,
Hmm.
even if that last word is about to cost you this thing over here. And in the Japanese culture, they have a thing where they're like, no, sometimes there's just certain things that is okay to be left unsaid.
Hmm.
You don't need to say everything that comes to your mind. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to consistently talk about the same person. Not consistently talk about the same person, but you don't have to say everything that you're thinking. And that's one of the things that I really struggle with because like I'm that I've been that type of person that as soon as I start to pop off, I tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like I love total transparency. I love transparency because you know what I'm saying? Like whatever shit I'm into, you need to know it. And whatever you into, I need to know. Cause I don't want somebody else coming to tell me nothing about you or anything you got going on that you didn't tell me first.
Right.
You know, for again, not everybody agrees with that logic. But for me, that's the only way that I can move forward when I fuck with people. If if we can't be trill with each other, if we can't be honest and forthcoming with each other, folk, I'm out. Like there for I can't tell you what other people do. I can only tell you what I do, and I know I'm out or whatever. Like if I can't trust you, nah, I'm good.
Well,
I'm good. Nope, I'm good.
well, and that trust side is, I think a lot of times people think that you win trust like by just you can replace trust by verbiage. Like you can,
Yeah, hey, but you can't. Like your trust, for the most part, you did something to destroy that trust. So you're gonna have to do something quite a bit to earn it back. And that's even if you can earn it back. Because depending on what you did, I might just be cool.
right.
Yeah, I was listening to Brother Lynch and that dude talks about eating people and all kind of shit. But he said in this one track, he said, I still wouldn't fuck with you even if you gave me my money now.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That dude owed him millions. He's like, no, I'm cool. Even if you gave me my money, I still wouldn't mess with you again. And
Well,
there's certain people that, no, I'm happy that you showed me, that you told me that I see exactly the type of person that you are. So if I fuck with you, I can proceed with caution. You know what I mean?
hmm, well, I guess there's certain things like there's certain things that like for me when I meet somebody that says I don't trust anybody ever at any time,
Right.
instantly my red that's a red flag to me
Yeah.
because I don't trust people who don't trust people.
Yeah. Because none of us makes it out here alone. Now again, though, here's the thing, and I'll say this. I forgot what was that? Was it EQ? I think emotional intelligence.
Hmm.
Where at the beginning of the book he says that the hardest thing to do is that when you're upset, is to be upset for the right reason, for the at the right person, for the right reason, right person, for the right amount of time. So if I can't fuck with you over here, it's not that I can't mess with you on anything else.
Right.
I just can't mess with you from this particular standpoint for this. But if it's a life or death type of situation or whatever, sometimes I may have to mess with you. You know what I'm saying? I get I may not want to, but I can compartmentalize things and put things off to the side of where I need them to go. If I'm upset with you, I can still fulfill my end of the bargain that we talked about, but that's only because my word means something to me. And I ain't
Right.
gonna lie to you, but I've met a lot of people who word don't mean shit. Like, and again, I'm not saying that to speak negatively or to talk about some type of platitude that I have for myself. No, my words, like whatever some come out of my mouth, I'm trying to ride on that.
Right.
Like off top, good, bad, or indifferent. So if I tell you I fuck with you, I fuck with you. Now, here's the thing: whether you mess with me or not is none of my business
Okay.
because it's not a reciprocal type of thing. It's not a transactional type of thing. There's been people that I liked but didn't like me. How many times do you meet a woman? Not you, because I mean, with Brandy and all.
Hmm.
But I'm saying, how many times do you meet a woman, you feeling her, but she ain't feeling you?
Right.
That sucks. But I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's not like my feelings are gonna go away. They're not. Like I fuck with you. Although you may not mess with me, that
Right.
ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? So again, I compartmentalize exactly where I need certain things to go, but I've not seen many people be able to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
And when I was reading that article, I'm like, that makes sense. I like that. Okay.
Well, and I guess for me, when I look at it like this, I have a difficult time establishing that initial part of trust because there's part of my brain that doesn't really quite understand how people interact and stuff. Like there's part of my brain that doesn't really process. I can't really read people's subtext sometimes. Like I can't read what's being said without being said. And so back in the days, my wife used to make fun of me. She's like, "You never pick up on signals. Like you can never tell when somebody is flirting with you." And that's been kind of the baseline ever since. And so it takes me a moment to process what somebody's actually asking of me, or if they're being, you know, if they're saying something and meaning something else. And
Right.
so yeah, it's just my communication style. Um and I think that's why I get into that. Like, if you run around talking about you don't like you have problems socializing with other people, and that's what you lead with, then I have a hard time. I go back to it. I don't trust people. I don't trust nobody. I trust no, I don't put no trust in friends and family and all that other stuff. I understand it to a degree where you're trying to protect your emotions, protect your heart, protect your money, right? I get it. Protect your family. Um,
Right.
but then there comes a time where you're asking somebody to put faith and trust into you, but then you don't reciprocate that trust. That is not how that works.
No.
If trust is that two-way street. If you don't trust me, then you can't demand that I trust you. If you got ulterior motives, um, if you're running around with these ulterior motives and you don't cleanly communicate them, what happens is you create this friction in the relationship because you're running around doing all this stuff under the table and you're hiding that. Meanwhile, this other person's being an open book to you. That's not fair. That's not right.
No. Yeah. And here's the thing, man. I've experienced that, and I took it, and I think that my issue was is that I took it personal.
Hmm.
It's not personal. There's certain people that just operate differently than you do, and just because, again, just because I'm upfront about stuff, just because I'm transparent about certain things, it doesn't mean that everybody is going to operate the same way.
Right.
Because again, again, it's not even about always doing fuck shit, but there are some people that just do fuck shit, and that's just how they are in general. And if you sit back long enough, if you watch long enough, people will show you exactly who and what they are.
Yeah, they will.
Most of the time, we just choose not to see that. You know what I'm
It's,
saying? I'm gonna say that again. We choose not to see it but it's always been there. It's right in front of you.
Right.
We just don't want to see it. And most of the time, we don't want to see it because you'll see it in somebody else that you really don't like. The people that we like, we give them passes.
Yeah.
We do this and the other and shit. You know what I'm saying? And yes, that sucks, but like, what do you do?
What do you? Yeah. What are you supposed to do about
Like,
that?
what are you supposed to do? Accept them as they are, and maybe even try to lead by example. Hey, this is how I'm going to treat you. Hopefully, you'll treat me the same way. Because if you don't, we're not going to be able to stay in each other's spaces. For now, because here's the thing, I kind of operate with certain people like a magnet.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people, we are good. You know what I'm saying? Other people, stay away from them as much as I possibly can. If I there's certain people, if I never spoke to them again for the rest of life, cool. And again, I don't wish them any harm. I don't wish them any negativity. I wish you absolutely nothing but the best. But as far as my relationship in this arena, I think I'm good. I think that this has come to our relationship has come to a crossroads. I don't see us moving forward on anything else, at least not that I can see. Now, here's the thing: later on, you might come up and apologize and just be on some cool shit, like, "Hey, I fucked up, man. I'm sorry."
Mm-hmm.
Just any other. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm so petty of a person, or gullible of a person, I would say, that for the most part, I'll probably forgive this shit. Like, that's just how I am. Like, I'm cool. It's like, thank you for saying that. But what are you gonna do
But
going forward so that this doesn't happen again?
restitution is what it comes down to. What are you going to do for the restitution side of things?
That's it. I apologize. I appreciate the apology, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do differently? Like, let me know, but then show me. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. And this is in any relationship. I think platonic, business, uh,
Mm-hmm.
romantic, whatever that might be. If you've done some fuck shit, fix it. If you can.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's people that bro, I did them dirty. And I've apologized and I've tried to atone for this shit. But bro, like, I haven't done anything like that in years. I haven't said anything. I haven't rocked a different way. I told you, hey, my fault. Won't happen again. It never happened again. But at some point, you have to let me. You have to let the shit. I don't want to say let it go, but you got to get over that for yourself, so that we can move in the same direction
Right.
together. Because there's only certain shit. I know what I did was wrong, but there's no buts to that. It's I know what I did was wrong. Here's what I'm doing to fix it. Right?
Right.
From my standpoint, is there anything I could do more to fix it? And there's sometimes that, like, yeah, you can take it back. I can't take shit back. It happened. Can we move forward?
Yeah. What
Because
does
if you,
moving forward look like? Right.
what does that look like? You know, and sometimes, unfortunately, moving forward means moving forward, not together.
Mm-hmm.
We're cool here, but this is where we depart. And I've been in situations like that as well. And sometimes it hurts. Sometimes, thank fucking God. Depends on the person, depends on the situation. That's how I see it.
I feel that. I feel that. So we're kind of at where we're at. almost
I
2
think
hours
I
right
think
now.
we're good, dude.
All right, man. I think that's a good note to end off on, guys. This was kind of an unstructured one, but I think we had a good episode, guys. We appreciate y'all tuning in. I don't know what we're gonna be talking about next week. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. No, we'll figure out something. It's all good.
But like, share, subscribe wherever you see this. And that's all I got. This is Brian.
Fearless here.
Talk to y'all later. Peace.
Doses.